Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome. All right, so Elon Musk here with the great betrayal that's going on. I mean, this is in complete insanity as well as sabotage. I'm going to go over in a little bit the Ross Perot sabotage that was done and talk about what's going on here with Elon Musk. You know, there's a number of possibilities with Elon Musk, right? You know, President Trump, a few weeks back when Elon first left and he sent out all those outrageous tweets, President Trump said that he had access. Now he doesn't, and his life's back to normal, and he's freaking out. Is that the case? Or is he just so slighted over EV changes and the big, beautiful bill that he's having a panic attack over the future of Tesla? Or is being the richest man in the world and the richest man who's ever lived, is he just a spoiled child who's accustomed to getting his way every time because he's so rich? And remember, he's not just the richest man in the world by a little bit. He's twice as rich as the second richest man. So his wealth is beyond imagination. So let's talk about this America party that he's got going on. You know, whatever you think about things, about the two-party system, that's just the way it is. To start a third party is sabotage. I'm going to go over right here in the beginning Ross Perot and George W. Bush in 92. It was Clinton, Bush, and Ross Perot. And this is insane what happened here. After the end of the Gulf War, the first one, not all that WMD lies from G.W. Bush. After the first Gulf War in 1991, George H.W. Bush, Bush 1, had an approval rating of 91%. Can you imagine a 91% approval rating for a Republican? That's how popular he was. And then a year later, he lost the election, and it's because of Ross Perot. You know, at the time, Bill Clinton was not a known person. No one knew who he was. And Arkansas is a pretty small state. At the time that Bill Clinton was running in 1992, Arkansas had a population, those of you in South Florida will get this, they had a population that was about that of Broward County, Florida at the time, which is the county Fort Lauderdale is in. It's not all that big of a county. It was a small state, small population, an unknown person who had a lot of baggage. You know, there were scandals coming out about him and Jennifer Flowers when he was running. He had protested against the United States during the Vietnam War overseas in Europe. So there were a lot of controversies, and Ross Perot came in, and Bill Clinton won the presidency in a three-way race with just 43% of the vote. Just 43% of the vote. Ross Perot had, this is the national vote, had 18.9% of the vote, and George H.W. Bush had 37.5% of the vote. And the people that voted for Ross Perot, and I'm here to tell you, that was my first presidential election that I was old enough to vote in. I was a kid. I was 21. And I voted for Ross Perot. And I voted for Ross Perot because I was stupid. I'll tell you why I voted for him in a few minutes, very specifically. But I was stupid. And like liberals today, I didn't know what was going on in the world. I thought I did. I was conservative, but I didn't know the inner workings of everything. And so I want you to think about this, okay? If you add this up, because those who voted for Ross Perot were mostly conservatives, right? Is that fair to say? Mostly conservatives? So if you count his votes as conservative, along with H.W. Bush, the Republican vote was 56.4% of the vote in 1992. 56.4%. Yet with just 43% of the vote, Bill Clinton took it home because of the third party. Now, I am going to take some calls. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you're watching live, you can see the toll-free number to call in is pinned in the live chat. It's the same number I use every day of the week when I'm taking calls, 888 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. And, you know, Elon Musk forming a third party will destroy the MAGA movement if we don't unite against it. And this is what I mean. Ross Perot, while he won a small percentage of the vote, handed the election to Bill Clinton because so many conservatives voted for him. And when I talk about conservatives, I'm also including the very self-destructive, egomaniacal, egomaniac, narcissistic libertarians, okay? And if he, you know, see, Ross Perot was a billionaire and he self-financed his campaign back then. And he was running. Then there was some scandal and he dropped out. And then he came back in. And then, boom, handed the election to Bill Clinton. And look what that gave us. Look what that gave us. 9/11 wouldn't have happened. Bill Clinton messed all that up. And the mistakes that he made because of his scandals that was going on in his personal life while he was president led to 9/11 happening. But, you know, the thing with Ross Perot, a couple things about Ross Perot. I'll tell you why I voted for him. And then I'll tell you something I learned about this third party thing with him just a few years ago, and which just blew my mind. The reason I voted for Ross Perot was because I was young and dumb and uninformed, and I didn't know the way of the world. I was, I was 20, not 21, by the way. I was 20 years old. Okay, so this is let's see here, November 92. No, I was 21. I was 21. So, you know, like people in their 20s, especially their young 20s, you don't have an understanding of things very deep at all. We had no internet or new media back then. And the mainstream media were pushing Ross Perot so much because they knew it would help the Democrat Bill Clinton win. But the reason I voted for specifically, this is what at the time, what I was thinking when I voted for Ross Perot, which gave the presidency to Bill Clinton, I was so ticked. He did something that I thought was pretty cool. They even made a movie about him. When the American hostages were taken from the U.S. Embassy in Iran, there were also hostages taken elsewhere in Iran who were businessmen, who were executives that worked for Ross Perot. These executives that worked for Ross Perot were in Iran. They got picked up by the Iranians and held hostage, just like the embassy hostages. And Ross Perot, at least the way the legend goes, and they made a movie about this, and I saw the movie on television. That's why I voted for him. Ross Perot hired I think it was a Green Beret, a retired Green Beret, and he financed a team of mercenaries to go to Iran and rescue his guys. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I threw my vote away, and Bill Clinton became president. And I was not alone in that. A lot of people voted for him for all kinds of reasons, okay? So what I came to learn about Ross Perot just a couple years ago, which I had no idea, his running mate was a guy by the name of Admiral Stockdale, who had a little bit of fame years ago because he was a POW in Vietnam, okay? And I don't know, 2-3 years ago or so, I was watching on YouTube I was watching a few documentaries about Vietnam, and I watched one about the Tonkin Gulf incident, which the Tonkin Gulf incident was a totally fake psych op that Lyndon Johnson, the deep state, and the military-industrial complex operated to get America full steam ahead, involved in a full-scale war in Vietnam. Vietnam, North Vietnam, which virtually had no navy, so goes the Tonkin Gulf incident. The Vietnamese, the North Vietnamese, the communist Vietnamese, attacked this naval vessel. And I watched this documentary on it, and I was shocked to learn that the U.S. Naval Squadron commander that responded to the fake attack he was a commander at the time, maybe even a lieutenant commander, but was Stockdale, Admiral Stockdale, Ross Perot's running mate. That was a deep state CIA op. So probably at the time or shortly thereafter, to get him to go along with the Tonkin Gulf story, Admiral Stockdale was deep state. He was deep state. He may have been before the incident, and that's why he led the squadron in there, because he would say what they needed him to say, or he was involved and they recruited him after the incident so they would get him to say what they needed to say to get us involved in a full-scale war in Vietnam. And when I learned this just a couple, and maybe you guys knew this back in 92 when this was going on, I had no idea until just a couple of, maybe 3 years ago when I saw this documentary. And that let me know that Ross Perot was a deep state operative working against George W. Bush. For whatever reason, I don't know who he pissed off, George W. Bush, but the deep state put Ross Perot in there to make Bill Clinton president. Now, the deep state have done a lot of things to stop Trump over the years, right? We know this. They were spying on him at Trump Tower. You know, H.W. Bush did something to piss off the deep state, and that's why they put Ross Perot in. What that is, I don't know. Maybe you guys know. It very well could have been, you know, and this may seem minor to you, but he stopped the army from taking Baghdad during the Gulf War. That may have pissed off the deep state, and that's why this happened. I don't know. But I do know this, that the deep state has been against Donald Trump since they realized he was a serious candidate. Not right from the moment he came down the escalator, but a little while after, when they realized he was a viable candidate, they started going after Donald Trump. They were spying on him at Trump Tower. There's been some new documents that the CIA director, Radcliffe, has released about Brennan and others that were running a CIA op with the Russia thing. Remember that Russian lady who, through some connections, got a meeting with Don Jr., and they used that to create this Russia hoax with the thing with Flint. So the deep state have been after him. And of course, they shot him in Butler, tried to do it again at the golf course, and everything in between. You guys know. So my guess with Elon Musk, now Elon Musk may not even be aware of what I'm sharing with you, but what's going on with this third-party thing is the deep state's dream. This is their dream. If they didn't craft it, if they didn't come up with the idea, they're going to exploit it and try to use this to stop the MAGA movement. You know, their big concern is after they now know, okay, now that what they've been telling themselves for a long time is this, that, you know, after Trump's out of office, the MAGA movement's going to fade away like the Tea Party. That's what they used to think. And now they realize that President Trump has this incredible bench of young people who are great future MAGA presidents, vice presidents, senators, and everything else, right? JD, Marco Rubio, right? Pete Hegseth. And the list goes on. I mean, we've just got a great group of people, great MAGA presidents and vice presidents for the next 20 plus years. So they know when Trump leaves office that his endorsement is going to be the most powerful endorsement ever in the history of the U.S. presidential races. They know that he will handpick his successor. Donald Trump will decide who the next MAGA president is after him. And what they want to do, this is the deep state. Now, again, Elon may have just done this out of his temper tantrum and everything else. And the deep state may have come in and grabbed onto this, and they're exploiting this, and they're making a thing out of this. Or they may have been involved in the decision from the beginning. But what they're planning on doing, they want Donald Trump's endorsed candidate for the second MAGA president to lose to a Democrat, so they can get someone back in there and regain power, so that the deep state and the political establishment can come back. And if his hand-picked successor does not win, they figure that'll weaken him forever, and that will be the end of it. But you go back, I posted this on X, Brian Craig Show on X, the 92 race, the three-way with Perot, Clinton, and Bush. And I know a lot of people are making references to Ross Perot, but it was so long ago that most people weren't following it then, or don't remember, or weren't even born yet. Okay? So it's very important to point out the destructive nature of this. And I'm here to tell you that in the conservative movement as a whole, there's no part of the conservative movement that's more self-destructive than libertarians. So what Elon's talking about with the big, beautiful bill, idiot, stupid libertarians will jump on that out of principle. They'll let a Democrat who's part of the establishment become, or maybe the American Party would come in and mess things up during who knows? But what Elon Musk is doing, if we don't call it out, if we don't expose it and tell people the dangers of it, it could do incredible damage to the MAGA movement that we may not be able to recover from. And that's why the deep state, if they weren't involved in the idea with Elon, they're jumping on board. Now, if you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, you can do that. I'm taking calls. If you're watching live, the number is pinned in the live chat. The number is 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. Before we go to the calls, though, I want to tell you guys about this incredible deal that Mike Lindell is offering. This is a very exclusive special. You know, a lot of people advertise My Pillow products. You know this. Everybody has promo codes. A lot of conservatives like me do. This offer is only available with me and one other person. This is very exclusive. Out of everyone who has promo codes with My Pillow, this is exclusive to me and one other outfit. And here's the exclusive special. This is amazing. With my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com, you will get free. That's right, free with any purchase. The With God All Things Are Possible multi-use My Pillow 2.0. And of course, this is a great passage from Matthew. The My Pillow 2.0 has this incredible cover that has this beautiful passage from Matthew there. It is beautiful artwork. The My Pillow 2.0 is the one with the temperature regulating technology. Okay, so you know your head and neck when it's in that pillow is the perfect temperature all night long. You will never turn the pillow over again looking for the cool side of the pillow once you have this My Pillow 2.0. I have them, and they're spectacular. It's a $39.98 value that you get free with any purchase with my promo code Kane, Kane, at checkout at mypillow.com. You can also order by phone, toll-free, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane, Kane. All right. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Carlos from Houston. I wanted to touch on the Perot race back in '92.
Yep.
And I think we lost that one because of Perot, because Perot kept getting in and out of the election, and people started to think he was nuts, okay? But if you remember, Brian, he was winning. He could have won that race even in the three-party system because it was really between him and Bush. But when he started doing the crazy stuff of pulling out of the race, talking about CIA,
here's what I don't. Here's what I believe. I don't believe he was. The reason he pulled out is not the reason that history tells us. He was so popular, they did not want him to win. They wanted Bill Clinton to win. And he was not his own man, okay? He was very much controlled. He was part of a deep state operation.
I agree with you.
And he split the Republican vote.
I think the rhinos back then wanted to split the vote for one reason or another, either for Bush or for Perot, but they didn't want Bush. They wanted somebody else. But he could have won it had he stayed straight.
No,
and not fool around.
No, see, this is what I'm talking. See, this is the danger that Elon Musk poses with this America party that he's doing. Okay, Ross Perot could not have won. He never had a snowball's chance. He never intended to win.
I don't know. I remember that race.
No, you can't. I remember it very well. I remember it.
One of these parolees.
I remember it well. I voted for him, and I was just starting on the radio, then covering politics, and I covered that race on the radio. He was never meant to win.
My favorite line that Perot
See what
said,
I'm
this is what
talking
got
about?
me involved in that race, because I was a guy that was going out trying to get his votes for him, was when he said, the American people cannot afford the presidency. That's why I'm jumping in. When he said that, I said,
see what I mean?
this is the man.
Yeah, but he was full of it. See, you and I basically.
Oh, yeah, I agree
you know,
with you.
you and I,
agree with
you
you.
and
Years
I.
later,
Excuse
he was
me.
full
Oh
of
my
it.
goodness. Listen, he was full of it. He was full
He
of it
betrayed
then.
this country, and
He
we got Clinton.
Hold on. He was full of it then, and basically, you and I voted for Bill Clinton in '92. We might as well have voted for Bill Clinton.
And in an indirect way, you're right, because I wasn't voting for Bush. When he said no more, no new taxes, and then he raised the taxes, I said that's it. He's done. But
Well,
I agree with
but
you.
don't you?
Mostly
But
I
don't
agree
you?
with
But
you. I just
see,
think-
this conversation shows you what'll happen with Elon, with this party. Stupid conservatives that don't like Trump, the rhinos, the never Trumpers, and of course the libertarians who are narcissistic lunatics. Okay, they'll vote for the third party person, even if it's Massey, because he'll say all these things, and that
Right.
candidate doesn't have a snowball's chance, and they'll
do
end
you
up getting the
think-
Democrat elected.
Do you think Elon is just BSing everybody, trying to get Tesla out of the crosshairs of the lunatics?
Who knows? Who knows? But he's already started a movement. Even if he steps away from it, he's already created something that the never Trumpers are going to grab onto and exploit.
Yeah, other than trying to save Teslas from the lunatics, I can't understand why he's doing this. Because he was in every single rally, and Trump said,
Who knows?
I'm
Who
not
knows?
gonna- I'm gonna remove
Maybe the rhinos went to Elon and said, "Hey, if you do this, we'll get your subsidies back." And he said, "Okay."
That could be a good point. I didn't think of that.
Maybe, yeah, it's possible. He's not doing this for He's not doing this for the reasons stated.
He doesn't need the money. I mean, he doesn't need the money, so there has to be an underlying reason that we're not seeing. But I think you hit on it right there. The rhinos are going to him and flattering him.
Yeah, could be. All right, appreciate the call. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
You know, in 1992, I was just over a year from graduating high school. I graduated in 1991. All right, and I sorry to say, but I got suckered in to voting for Ross Perot.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, and that's and look, as I recall, Rush Limbaugh at the time was warning us about Ross Perot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, about him being a possible false flag and that type of stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just started listening to Rush at the time, and I should have probably listened to him at the time, but you know, they was slick with him and how they packaged Ross Perot and with all those infomercials and this, that, and the other, and I got suckered
Well, at
in,
the
sorry
Ross
to say.
Perot was a billionaire at the time, and there's a lot of billionaires now, but back in 91, 92, there were not that many. And what he did is he bought infomercial time on the networks and did these 30-minute infomercials on network television that he paid for. And you can hear with the last caller, by the way, Mike in Louisiana, appreciate the call. You could hear from the caller before Mike from Louisiana. He was brainwashed about Ross Perot back in 92, and he's still on the Ross Perot bandwagon and really doesn't fully understand until this conversation we had today what was in play there. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Brian, this is Dave in Virginia.
Hey, Dave, what's up?
I wanted to say that if they do this, if Elon Musk does this, it's going to destroy our Republican Party because they're going to pull them never Trumpers over to that side.
And the MAGA movement.
And
It could
if they split the
devastate.
party, it's going to kill us.
Yeah, it could. And this is why, even if Elon stopped this today and became friends with Trump again, since he's created the idea, the never Trumpers are going to jump onto it and use it. Even if he walked away from it today, he's done incredible damage.
Oh, yeah, because you got enough of those never Trumpers that are billionaires that'll step in and keep it going. So it'll happen.
I wonder how all the MAGA people feel that went out and bought Teslas because they were, because we were in such support. I've got a few Elon Musk shirts, T-shirts. I've got my Elon Musk Trump Doge Hawaiian shirt that was not cheap. I'm not wearing that crap anymore. My wife told me yesterday to throw them all away.
Yeah, I getting ready to say you might as well, because there ain't nobody with common sense that's going to buy one of them.
I'm not going to wear. I'm not selling them. I bought them to wear them. You may have seen me on some streams wearing Elon. I'm not going to wear any Elon Musk shirts anymore.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to call and tell you that they're going to destroy the Republican Party if that goes through.
Well, what their plan is. See, here's the thing: the Republican establishment are very comfortable to lose a few elections to get rid of the MAGA movement and retake the party. Do you understand that, guys? They want to lose the midterms. They want to lose the presidency and the congressional races then as well, to get control of the party again. And they're good. And this is part of their strategy now. All right.
Yeah.
Good points. Appreciate the call. Yep. All right. Take care. Yeah, I'm pretty ticked at Elon. I mean, now this, I don't know. I saw this on X this morning. Trump and Elon might meet soon. Sources say the two most important guys in the United States are about to sit down at Bedminster. Like with Ron DeSantis, even if this happens, could you ever trust Elon Musk again? I couldn't. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is Nick from Baltimore.
Hey, Nick. What's up?
Yeah, you have an excellent analysis of what's going on between Elon Musk and President Trump. What's going to have to happen is the MAGA movement, the Republicans have to get behind the candidate that's going to come after Trump, which is, going to be J.D. Vance. I like J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, but they have to have a clearly defined marketing campaign, and that's what they need to do. Elon Musk, when I saw Elon Musk, and I have to say this, I thought he was very erratic in his behavior.
Well, when you're the richest man in the world, right, you're going to be eccentric and weird. Look at Jeff Bezos with him and the weird stuff he and his wife do. I mean, so when you're at that level, I mean, there's always, strangeness. And I kind of thought it was that. But what he's doing here, this is bad news. I don't know. Whatever his reasoning is, his true reasoning, we don't know. Maybe they went to him and said they'll give him the subsidies back for the EVs, but also maybe he's got two major businesses. Both are tied to the government, the Tesla and SpaceX. So the deep state and the political establishment have a lot to deal with and offer him, or threaten him with, because they could cut the SpaceX contract. And go to someone else. So even though he's the richest man in the world, he's in many ways almost like a welfare recipient. He's so dependent on the government.
Mm-hmm. It all comes down to basically money and power, doesn't it? I mean, because the deep state doesn't want to lose their power. Mm-hmm. And the thing about President Trump, he's the first president that is truly working for the good of the country. Mm-hmm. No other president in my lifetime has been that way, save for maybe John F. Kennedy, and he wasn't in there long enough
to really know. We don't really know what Kennedy was going to do or be about.
Right, right. And I'm really, this is to me, he's President Trump is the greatest president we've ever had, and there will never be another one like Trump. Because he truly, he's genuine.
Well, see, the Republican...
When had a genuine president?
That's exactly right. That's one of the reasons they hate him. The Republican establishment haven't just said, well, the MAGA's in charge now. We're done. They are conniving. They're scheming. And whether or not Elon did this on his own or with their help and encouragement, it doesn't matter. This America Party is going to be around with the rhinos, even if Elon walks away from it. I mean, they got. Oh, this is our new thing.
Exactly, and I'm back in '92. I'm like you. I voted for Ross Perot because I was idealistic and kind of stupid, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize that this guy, he's there to fragment the vote.
That's right.
And this is the danger I see too.
Yep. All right. I appreciate the call. All right, take care,
thanks,
Nick from
man.
Baltimore. Yeah, if you'd like to call in, you certainly can. If you're watching live, the toll-free number is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. Before we move on, I want to talk about a book that one of our regular chat room friends has written. There's a link to the book in the description of the video. It's called The Flower Story. And, of course, this is it's about a dad, and it's about life with his daughter, and he is a dad who's working hard to support his family. So if you could click that link in the description of the video and pick up a copy of The Flower Story, I would appreciate it. And, of course, our chat room friend, Sean, he would appreciate it as well. Okay, again, it's The Flower Story, and it's linked in the description of the video. You know, the thing with Elon here and what he's doing, the MAGA movement, okay, until we get our second and third MAGA president, will not be fully entrenched forever, okay? President Trump, when he left office after his first term, they tried to get him to start a third party. And he said, no, not going to start a third party. I'm going to take back the Republican Party. And he did it. But we're not enough election cycles into it to have totally cleansed ourselves of these never-Trumper Republican establishment people like Ron DeSantis and the Bush-type Republicans, okay? And that's what we're dealing with here. And it has got to be stopped. And, I know a lot of you are probably libertarians, and I got to tell you, I don't care for libertarians. Libertarians are narcissists. They think they're better than other conservatives. And like the Republican establishment, they would rather lose every election than win it. So they could say, libertarians could say, well, yeah, we lost, but I stood to my principles. Libertarians are very much narcissistic and don't want to win elections. They think they're special conservatives. And libertarians will rally around this Elon Musk America's Party candidate. And they'll proudly and very vocally do it. And that's a problem. Because a lot of people I know are saying right now, well, wait a minute. Are all the MAGA people going to leave whoever Trump endorses to vote for the... No. But inside the conservative movement, you still have never-Trumpers. And many of them are regular voters, sadly, twistedly. And then you have the libertarians. So between the libertarians and the never-Trumpers, that shaves off enough that could cost us the Electoral College, like it did President Bush in 1992. Now, I'm going to move on to some other things because there's a lot to cover that I want to go through today. But you're welcome to call in about the Elon Musk America First Party as the show goes on. All right, again, the number's toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. If you're new to the program, my name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Now, we got another problem in New York. I got a few stories on him that I'm going to go through, but this is the first one. Here is Zorhan in New York on CNN. Listen.
I think we've gotten to this point because for months students have been very consistent in their call, which is a call for the end of this war. They are concerned by the fact that more than 30,000 Palestinians have been killed, and they've seen their universities as part of this war effort, given the investments that many of these universities have. And yet for many months, their call has been denied, it has not been heard, it has been ignored, and we've gotten to this point here. These students, in their actions, they were calling upon a tradition that's existed at Columbia for decades. In 1968, students set up these similar kinds of encampments to ensure that their call for an end to the war was being heard. What concerns me is that the real danger that occurred in that situation was when the police came in, many of them guns drawn, introducing a risk that previously had not existed on that campus, where just for the last few days, a number of pro-Israel protesters have shown up to those encampments with baseball bats, threatening genocide and ethnic cleansing on those students.
Okay. So, the more this guy talks, the more he exposes himself. And, the thing about Zohan, everybody, the mainstream thinking, which is very accurate, is he'll turn New York City into London, England. And that is true. However, we still haven't been able to rally behind one candidate, right? Cuomo and Mayor Adams are both running as independents. And Curtis Sliwa is a clown. He'll take some votes away, too. We need these other guys to drop out and rally behind one person. Now, Zohan's got a lot of baggage, and more is coming out from him. His mother, I've got something on his father that you've not heard before that I'm going to get to in a little bit. But, Zohan's mother was involved in an attempt to keep Gal Gadot, the actress that plays Wonder Woman. She was in that new Snow White, she's a very famous actress. Zohan's mother was trying to get Gal Gadot disinvited from a movie premiere because she's Israeli. Okay, so this is a major cultural shift in this country if Zohan walks in and becomes the mayor of New York City. It's very bad. It would be one of the biggest cultural shifts in this country's history, maybe the biggest cultural shift since the women's lib movement, really, if you think about it, right? Yeah, I mean, this is something. And he really, he's out there getting kind of free passes. This is MSNBC. This is that idiot Hakeem Jeffries. And he's being interviewed with Al Sharpton over the weekend on MSNBC.
Now, a quick follow-up. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is attacking Mamdani over reports that he identified himself as African-American and Asian on college application. Mamdani was born in Uganda, his parents from India. What are your thoughts on this issue? Mamdani has checked multiple boxes trying to capture what he calls the fullness of his background. I mean, is this a real issue to you?
I think to me, the issue that we have to deal with in New York City, which our Democratic nominee did talk about extensively during the primary campaign, is affordability. And particularly
affordability, blah, 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 affordability. Okay, giving free stuff to people. So this guy said he was African and black on his college application to Columbia. He didn't even get into Columbia, but he said he was black. And he's now Al Sharpton, they haven't gotten Al Sharpton in, written the check yet. So Al Sharpton's taking issue with this. Hakeem Jeffries, on the other hand, he's covering for Zohan right now. But this, I want you to imagine, if you will, a Republican saying that they're black and they're not, right? You've got Elizabeth Warren, who claimed to be a Native American Indian. You've got Zohan, who says that he is black on applications. He's not. Okay, now he's not white, he's Indian American, okay? But why was he lying? The reason he was lying on applications is because, contrary to what liberals would like you to think, if you are a minority on these applications, whether it's for college or a job, you get put to the top of the pile, or at least that's the general thinking. Whites go to the bottom. So he was out there trying to pass as black. And what he was really trying to do was take a seat at Columbia University from a real black student, a real African-American student. Think about that. If he would have gotten that seat at Columbia that he was denied. That's exactly, and it was fraud that he was trying to do. And if he did it there, I'm sure he did it pretty much everywhere. So I'm hoping, the New York Times uncovered this about Columbia. One of what Rush used to call an accidental case of journalism. But I'm sure that there are others in the media now that are investigating to see if they can find where Zohan has done this elsewhere. All right, let's take some more calls. Again, if you'd like to call in and you're watching live, you can call me. The number's pinned in the live chat. Toll free no matter where you're listening. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, how are you, Brian? Yes, my name is Javier.
Yep.
And I just wanted to put my little grain of salt. It's at the end of the day, it's spiritual warfare. It's good versus evil. You are absolutely right when you say that libertarians are narcissists. And at the end of the day, it's because I seldom see them wearing a cross because they're too, they only listen to themselves. Nobody can tell them nothing. And in regards to Elon Musk, just the fact that he would bow to Trump, it's called false humility.
Yeah.
That's called false humility. So, Elon Musk doesn't even believe in God, so it's at the end of the day, Brian, it's spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say, and you have a wonderful weekend.
All right, appreciate the call. Some good points. Talking to some coherent people on the program today, which is nice. Now, I'm really upset about this, and I don't know if you've even heard about this yet, but Tucker Carlson has interviewed the president of Iran. And he did not go to Iran to do this. It was done, online remotely. What is the point of that? What is the point of that? How many times have we on the right, how many times have we on the right pointed out the hypocrisy of these liberals who have traveled around the world to hang out and interview some of the worst people, whether it was Castro or Saddam Hussein or someone else? What is the point of going to the president of Iran for an interview? He is a murderer. He is the leader of a murderous nation who is behind almost every terrorist attack that has happened in the world since 1979. Okay? That's his country. And they're continuing to do it today. You're not going to get any honest answers from him. The only reason that the president of Iran would do an interview with an American, Tucker, is because what? They want to humanize themselves to the American audience. And, there's so much anti-Israeli, anti-Semitism going on in this country, okay, by people like Candace Owens spreading it, Mark Dice spreading anti-Israeli sentiment, Tucker does, that there's an audience out there who will eat this up. I remember when Ahmadinejad, when he was the president of Iran, he visited Columbia University, which was disgusting, while he was the sitting president of Iran. And it was very controversial. And conservatives nationwide said, this is wrong. But it happened, And now Tucker's doing a similar... Now, again, he didn't go to Iran. He did this over the computer and everything else. But, he's being played here, Tucker Carlson. And, this is the thing with the new media. The new media we're very blessed to have. I'm part of the new media, even though I've been a part of it since its inception, because I've been doing this my whole adult life. And anytime there's been a new technology or something, I've always gotten on board with it. But people like Tucker, I was talking about this with Tucker last week. Tucker, when he first was fired by Fox, okay, there was a lot of controversy around him, a lot of celebration. He did some interviews. They were very high profile. But that was a couple years back, right? Was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? However long it was. And, he's done some interviews, but most of them have been mediocre that you didn't watch, right? The first couple you watched every second, but now you rarely watch them. If you do, you see a clip on X. Do you sit down and watch a full Tucker Carlson interview like you did when he first went solo after he left Fox? Probably not. And what happens a lot of times with the new media, and this very well may be happening with Tucker with this interview with Iran. Like TikTokers, all they care about is clicks and views, and being relevant. So is Tucker Carlson interviewing the president of Iran because he thinks it's a good interview that the people should see? Or is he trying to get a lot of views and be relevant and clicks and retweets and all that stuff? What do you guys think? I think it's wrong for him to do it. It serves no purpose other than humanizing the leader of a terrorist state, which is Iran. And Laura Loomer, she put... Tucker posted a video that's about 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes and 20-some seconds long. I'm not going to play it for you. You can watch it. I did retweet it because it's part of this Loomer tweet. But he did a little short promo about the interview. It'll be available today or tomorrow. And Laura Loomer, she tweeted, she says, "I don't ever want to hear anyone again say Tucker Carlson is America first." I would agree with that. He's Tucker first. Now, again, we're all, we all have some, an instinct of survival. But what he is doing with this interview is one of those jump the shark moments. Candace Owens has already done this. She's lost her freaking mind, okay, with the stuff she's been doing. And he's been on the edge for a while. But this is a definite jump the shark moment for Tucker Carlson. And at some point, these people go through these phases that are difficult, if not impossible, to come back from. I think Candace Owens is already there. Unless she went to a very good psychiatrist that put her on medications, and she woke up out of this insanity and explained to everybody that she had had a mental break and now she's being medicated and this problem she had is what was causing all this nonsense, then she might have a chance. Might. But she's done permanent damage to herself, Candace Owens, with her ridiculous anti-Semitism that's been going on. Tucker's been on the border of this. He interviewed a guy, was it last year? The guy that blames the Allies for the Holocaust. And he really does. It's pretty disgusting stuff. It was talked about a lot at the time. It wasn't Hitler. It was the Allies that are responsible for the Holocaust. He interviewed that guy. Okay? And a lot of people have been very upset about that since that interview. And I was another guy, like many of you out there, who's been a fan of Tucker for a long time. But this is wrong, what he's doing. We'll take a quick break and be right back. If you're a Medicare recipient or about to turn 65, listen up. I want to talk to you about Medicare. Medicare, it's confusing. That's done on purpose, right? You go online, what do you find? More confusion. A lot of people, they try to go it alone or they deal with someone who doesn't really know what they're talking about, and what happens? It ends up costing them thousands of dollars sometimes each year. And also, they find out maybe their doctors or their medications, they might not be covered either. That's where Chapter comes in. Chapter is the only national Medicare advisor that compares all of the over 24,000 plans out there for you. They'll find the one that's right for you and your budget. And no matter where you are in the United States, Chapter can help. You're going to get answers, you're going to get them fast, and you're going to get them for free. So whether you're on Medicare right now or turning 65 soon, give Chapter a call. 805-754-3033. 805-754-3033. The number's also in the description of the episode. You're going to talk to a real person. They're going to walk you through everything step by step. No gimmicks, just real help. Because the right plan, it can save you thousands. Again, the number 805-754-3033. 805-754-3033. Get your Medicare questions answered free. 805-754-3033. Your health and your wallet will thank you. All right, so Zohan, I want to get to some more stories on Zohan. I mean, every day, more and more is coming out about this guy, and there has not been a single thing that is good, right? I told you guys, when Zohan won the Democrat primary against Governor Cuomo, it was luck. He got lucky. No one knew him. No one was following the race. They had a very low voter turnout. Here he is talking about policing.
Because that is the amount of money that will solve everything. It comes out of an understanding that policing is something that does not create safety.
Wow.
And what we need to do is reinvest into things that are proven indicators and creators of safety. And the city council budget did not do that. And
okay, policing does not create safety. That is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. You know, this morning before the stream, I went out and got coffee. I'm driving. There's hardly a car on the road because it's early in the morning. And I'm going, and I saw a police car wait on the side of the road. What do you think I did? I slowed down. I made sure I was under the speed limit because obviously he was there with his radar gun early in the morning. You know, police are a deterrent. You know, here in Florida, I know this is not true everywhere, but here in Florida, police officers with pretty much every department get to take their car home. They have take-home cars. Why do you think they have take-home cars? A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people get upset about it until they learn why. Why do you think police officers have take-home cars? Pretty simple. Because you have a higher police presence on the highway. And a higher police presence on the highway makes the community safer. Even if it's a police car from a neighboring district, you see that car on the road, you're going to slow down. You're not going to do crime, right? If you're a criminal. If you're a speeder, you are going to slow down. More police cars on the road, just like in New York City, more cops walking the beat, deters crime. Got me to slow down this morning because I saw him on the side of the road. Sometimes, you know, there's a few places where the Florida Highway Patrol, they've been doing this for as long as I can remember. In areas where there's a lot of speeding going on, and they want to deter speeding, and they don't want to pay a cop to sit there in his car with his radar gun all the time, the Florida Highway Patrol, and there's a few spots that they've been doing this for 20 years, and it still works, even though everybody knows what it is. They'll have a Florida State Highway Patrol car parked in the middle of the highway, where there's a lot of speeding, and inside of it, they have a dummy wearing a highway patrolman's uniform. And people slow down because they see the car. Even people like me that know that there's not a real highway patrolman in there, that it's a dummy, you still slow down just in case, right? So this idea that Zohan has that the more police you have doesn't deter crime is insane. It does make you safer. Now, the ones that are not safer with more police are criminals. Criminals are less safe to do their crime when there's more cops out there. But this guy sees everything completely backwards. All right, let's go back to the phones. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, my name is Greg. I'm calling from Detroit, Michigan.
Mm-hmm. And?
How you doing, brother?
All right, I don't know why you're using the fake voice, but speak up loud so we can hear you better.
Yeah, I just seen you're supporting Elon Musk, who's like clearly a fascist.
I am not supporting Elon Musk. In fact, I support Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. And if you...
No, you're supporting Elon Musk, too.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. What have I said that's pro-Elon Musk? What have I said on this? What have I said that's pro-Elon Musk on this program?
Hey.
Excuse me. No, I will say what I want to say. You say that I'm promoting Elon Musk. What have I said that's pro-Elon Musk on this stream?
Okay, so do you drive a Tesla?
Nope.
Don't fucking bullshit me here.
No, I don't.
You're clearly an Elon Musk family.
I do not drive a Tesla. I do not. Nope.
Oh, yeah, so what do you drive?
I'm not going to tell you what I drive, but it's not a Tesla.
Yeah, there he is. There he is, the pussy clot.
The what?
So why do you support fascist pussy clot?
Uh-huh. All right. I would thank you for calling, but if I did that, I'd be lying. All right?
All right.
Take care. Take care. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. A couple other things on Zohan. This really blew my mind. This is his father, okay? And you can go, I'm not going to play you the video. It's about 4.5 minutes long or so. And Zohan's father is a typical college professor. He's a self-inflating balloon who is a man of a few thousand words, if you know the meaning of that. But his father, now keep in mind, Zohan's a kid, right? He's 33. His father, the college professor, in this talk that he gives, which I did post to my ex, Brian Craig Show on X, he said the Allies and the Nazis had the same goal in the Second World War. He said that Hitler's inspiration was the great 16th president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. And he said a lot of other offensive things. And, this guy, when you're out there saying that the Allies and the Nazis had the same goals in the Second World War, and that Hitler was inspired in following the platform of Abraham Lincoln, what does your kid think? Basically, Zohan, when you see these sick, twisted things that his father did, and remember I was telling you earlier, his mother, the Oscar-nominated director, was involved in a campaign to try to get Gal Gadot, the Israeli actress who plays Wonder Woman, uninvited to a movie premiere because she's Israeli. You put that together with the lunacy of his father, what does Zohan think? What is his worldview? My goodness. He's basically been raised by the equivalent of a white supremacist. If someone has two racist, white supremacist, Ku Klux Klan parents, their worldview is going to be pretty warped. Zohan has been raised in a family with opinions as ugly as that. It's pretty disgusting. All right, let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, long-time listener, first-time caller. How you doing?
Okay.
Hey, so the reason I'm calling is because I had to report you to ICE, and they should be deporting you back to India shortly.
India? Why would I go to India?
Well, it's going to be an accident, you see.
See, if you did what you said you did, you will be arrested. You know that, right? You will be arrested for doing. If you did what you said you did, not only do I have it on tape, but I have other ways to let them know who did it. There you go. This is what you deal with the left, right? This is what you deal with the left. They're tyrants. They're angry. And the rules just don't apply. One of the things that wakes up a lot of people to the left, okay, is they see what tyrants they are, what they've done to President Trump for the last 10 years, the last 4 in particular. If you don't agree with them, they want to hurt you, they want to destroy you, and they want to do all kinds of other terrible things. And sadly, that's just a part of life when you're a conservative. You get kind of used to these things, if you can call it getting used to it. All right, now if you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, please do. The toll-free number is in the live chat pinned there for you. And I want to remind you guys what a great deal we have from Mike Lindell at MyPillow. With my promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, you will get free with any purchase With God, all things are possible, multi-use MyPillow 2.0. Now, this is the MyPillow 2.0 is the one with the temperature regulating technology. It's absolutely amazing. The MyPillow 2.0's temperature regulating technology keeps your head and neck cool and the perfect temperature all night long. You will never flip your pillow over again looking for the cool side. You know, every time you do that, even though you don't remember, you've woken up out of REM sleep. It's like having sleep apnea. This free pillow, which is beautiful, it has that great Bible verse from Matthew on it with incredibly beautiful artwork. If you were to buy that, it would be $39.98. But with my promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, you're going to get that pillow for free with any purchase. You can also order by phone toll-free 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. You're on the air. Oh, hold on. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, how's it going? It's Brian.
Yes.
Hey, I've been a big fan of your show for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And,
yes, I'm sure. I'm sure, yes. And? Okay, he hung up. I didn't hear what his punchline was, but he hung up. You know, what you have going on, and you can see this with the left, is the incredible success that President Trump is having has reached such a level that they have basically given up on the left. And they're having meltdowns. You know, I've talked about this a little bit on the show. I've been doing this for a long time, and liberals are always dysfunctional. But in the last 3 weeks or so, I've never heard liberals as dysfunctional as they are right now. And the reason that is because we're winning, right? That's the main reason. We're winning. All right, so Jasmine Crockett, who's the Democrats, one of their last best hopes to relevancy again, which is insane to me because I don't know who's worse, Jasmine Crockett or AOC. Which do you think is worse? Here she is, Jasmine.
As far as I'm concerned, you randomly kidnapping folk and you throwing them out of the country against their civil rights, against their constitutional rights. And frankly, how would they feel if some other country decided that they were going to just start throwing people randomly in our country? Like that is absolutely insane. So yes, all I got to say is y'all need to get these fools out of here. But
oh my goodness. First of all, and we all know she doesn't really talk that way. Okay. People are not randomly being picked up, and their constitutional rights are not being... Everybody knows this, right? The due process for illegals that are in the country illegally is a different process than people that are here legally or U.S. citizens, okay? If you're a U.S. citizen and you commit a crime, the due process constitutional guarantees that you go through are different than someone who's here illegally. Everyone knows this. But, you know, the thing about the Democrats that's becoming more and more obvious day after day after day is this. That is, no matter what they're speaking about, you never hear them advocating for anything that would help an American citizen. Everything they do, everyone they support is not a U.S. citizen. They're always advocating for people from other countries, time and time again. And you know what? It never stops, does it? Now, if you're new to my channel, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure that you subscribe. If you want to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once.
Yes, my name is Eric. I have a question.
Yes, Eric.
And I'm not trying to be disrespectful or any of that stuff. Okay, so I'm all about getting rid of waste and fraud and abuse and all of that stuff there, but there was a different path that I would have taken. I would have used like a forensic CPA or something. But here's my question. Okay, so this proposed big, beautiful bill that really doesn't include anything for the American people, in my opinion. I mean, you know, it seems like it's a big tax cut for the rich. Okay, but if they have found all of this money, why then are they trying to add $5 trillion more dollars to the national debt? Or, excuse me, have already done that.
Okay, now slow down. You said that the big, beautiful bill, okay, is tax cuts for the rich, millionaires and billionaires. What the rich, is that what you said?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay, well, in the big, beautiful bill, you have no tax on tips. No tax.
Okay, which expires in 2 years. That's not permanent.
No, it's not.
For the billionaires.
It's still. Wait a minute. There's not. Slow down. Slow down. Hey, listen. Don't get hysterical. Then if you've read the bill, then you know there's not a single tax cut in there that's permanent. All the tax cuts expire at some point.
Yes.
So there is no permanent tax cut in there. So you said this is. You said
that's why I shouldn't have called in, because
why?
I know
What?
how MAGA
Reality?
operates. You're
What?
gonna
Reality?
support this man, he could literally shoot your mama.
You
and
said
you
said something though that wasn't.
I'm really wasting my time.
All right. Well, then don't talk to me. See what happened with him. He had his talking point. It was challenged with the truth, and now he won't stop talking. He said, and I asked him about it again, the big, beautiful bill is tax cuts for rich people, millionaires and billionaires. I point out the taxes on tips are eliminated. Well, that's only for a period of time. Every tax cut in this bill expires. I wish they were permanent, but for whatever reason, they can't get them through permanently. There's not a single tax cut in the big, beautiful bill that is permanent. All right, let's go back to the phone. And, and these liberals, when they hear what burns me about that guy is he knew that. That's a propagandist, what we heard there. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm calling from Texas. I go by D-Clots. I'm on X. I'm not sure if you've kind of seen some of my content before.
No, never heard of you. What's on your mind other than promoting yourself?
Well, okay, my bad, bro. I was just wondering, why are you promoting that little pillow of yours with the Bible verse? Like, what the fuck is your goal there? Are you trying to use God's name for clout?
Why do you think? Well, I would answer. Now, tell me why do you think that I am promoting my pillow?
Because I think you're a little fucking drop shipper that gets these from China, right? Just like Trump says.
Are you okay? China. Are you okay?
Are you okay? Why are we selling fucking pillows for $50?
They're not $50. Really? In fact, they're under $20. And you get one for free with any purchase. You get one for free with any purchase. Hey, listen, take care, man. So I mean, I am willing to talk to almost anyone. But sometimes it's a little difficult, isn't it? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. My name's John. I'm calling you from Boca. Called you before, and I don't know what you make, Brian, but it's not enough to put up with some of these calls. Honest to God, I can't believe what I'm hearing these last group of calls. You know what? I can believe what I hear. I mean, they ask a question, then you try to explain the answer to them, and then all of a sudden they start talking. And you know why, Brian? Because they're fearful that by the time you get done answering your question to them, then you're going to ask them a simple question, and they have no answer. And then the mouth runs and runs and runs. They like you say, talking points. I like these guys that come with their jokes. They need you to put their jokes over because they're too stupid to even do that,
Exactly.
As far as being liberals. I really wish, I agree with you. I don't trust Elon Musk going forward now because of what just happened, but I got a feeling that if President Trump called him to the White House, he would just fold like an accordion because I think he misses hanging out with the president and actually with the richest man in the world and everything. I still give him credit for all the stuff he's done for us and everything. And something behind this and everything that if he came, I think they could talk this thing out because I really don't want to see a third party after what we're going through right now.
Well, we can never trust Elon Musk ever again, right? We can't. Yeah. He just can't be trusted anymore. Now President Trump may be able to get control of him. But what I was talking about earlier, even if at the beginning of the show, even if Elon walks away from this, the Never Trumpers are going to pick up this America's Party and run with it because they know that libertarians and Never Trumpers will vote for the America Party candidate, even if it means losing. So the Never Trumpers are going to pick up on this movement. He has unlocked something that he can't put back in the lockbox, Elon Musk, even if he wanted to.
It's amazing. I never thought I'd hear what we're hearing about this from Elon Musk, but I guess we tend to go on. In your opinion, since they signed the big, beautiful bill, have they mentioned when this could all go into play? I mean, it's not going to happen.
Well, it's a week. It starts immediately. It's the weekend. It's a holiday weekend, man. 4th of July weekend. They haven't had a weekday yet since it's been signed.
You mean the no tax on tips and everything is going to go into effect as soon as possible.
I would
rather
imagine
than
it's going to happen
down.
right away. It's going to happen right away. I don't know the exact date, but it should happen right away. All right. Hey, listen, appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Now, if you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live stream. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Greg, man, and I called you last time, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah. Good morning, Brian. Happy Sunday to you.
Yeah, say Richie.
Time for me to call out these frauds that are personally attacking you all over the place because they absolutely have nothing. I'm not going to defend these taxes that the great big bill, because they're complaining that it's giving all the money to the rich. I'm going to ask them a couple of questions since they have amnesia for the last 4 years before President Trump came in.
Mm-hmm.
When 20 million people crossed the border and there were Border Patrol agents on the border that weren't allowed to do their job, were the Border Patrol agents still being paid? Question: yes.
Mm-hmm.
When they flew them all over the United States in planes to the city of their choice, okay, who paid for that? The people that are so concerned about the tax cuts for the rich. Who paid for those flights? And when they got to New York City, for example, they got put up in 5-star hotels, which I wanted to go to years ago, but couldn't afford them. But they got them for free, and they got 3 meals a day, and they had their
it's an interesting thing. That caller earlier, when he said, well, it's just for the rich, and I mentioned the tip, he knows that it's not for the rich. He knows that the lowest income workers are getting tax breaks. But he doesn't get, the Democrats have gotten by over the years by claiming to represent the people. And the reality is that the Republican Party is the party of working people and poor people. The Democrat Party is the party of rich elitists like Zohan in New York, whose parents are wealthy, sending him to a $69,000 a year private school for elementary and middle school.
Yeah.
That's your average Democrat.
Right. Plus, they're also degenerates, and they trashed our country for 4 years, and it's our country as American people. And like I said, you got all these people that have been here, and that's cost us a bloody fortune. You couldn't even get into a hospital. The emergency rooms are all packed up, and the hospitals are saying, well, this bill's going to make hospitals go broke. Guess what, folks? When you got people walking in off the street that don't belong here, and they go to the emergency room, and the hospital can't charge them. Who do you think pays for that?
Exactly.
Who do you think pays for it? These people are so phony, it's just got me sick of it.
Yeah.
And they're constantly attacking Trump. Well, I got to ask them a major question. How could you, with a straight face, sit there and say you voted for a guy with cabbage between his ears for 4 years that didn't even run the country, that was a total embarrassment all over the world? How could you do that? The Italian, I remember when he was up in front of that G7, I believe it was, in the Italian female president. I don't know her. I forgot her name. But she had to actually go grab him because he was walking off into space.
That's right.
It was an embarrassment, man.
That's right.
Total embarrassment.
That's right.
And these people have that gall to attack you for telling the truth.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? They don't just attack. They threaten. Richie, I'm going to move on, but good points. I agree with all of them. Now, I want to recap this. I started this right at the top of the program. And this is the danger of what Elon Musk is doing with the third party. And you hear a lot of people say, oh, he's trying to be Ross Perot. I want to share these numbers with you because this is an insane thing that happens, okay? In 1992, we had a three-way race. It was Bill Clinton, H.W. Bush, and Ross Perot. And it's important to understand, in that 92 race, a year before was the end of the Gulf War in 1991. George H.W. Bush had an approval rating of 91%. Isn't that something? In fact, that might be the highest approval rating in history. 91% approval rating. Pretty crazy, huh? And this is how it turned out. George H.W. Bush received 37.5% of the vote. Ross Perot, 18.9%. And Bill Clinton won the presidency in 1992 with just 43% of the vote. So what happened with Ross Perot was a third party. He came in and split the Republican vote. He got libertarians. He got people that didn't like Bush. America First people that didn't like that we were over there liberating Kuwait and all of that. But the Republican vote in 1992, I think it's safe to say most everyone who voted for Ross Perot was a conservative of some sort, a Republican voter, right? If you put together Bush and Perot, the Republican vote was 56.4% of the vote. 56.4% of the vote. Yet we lost to Bill Clinton's 43%. And that's what Elon Musk is doing here. And let me tell you, because he's the richest man in the world by far, he has the ability, without even feeling it, throw enough money behind a candidate to get them on a presidential ballot. And you don't have to have them in all 50 states. You only have to have them in key battleground states to split the vote. You get that? You know, the number of battleground states, it changes from election cycle to election cycle. President Trump won them all last time. But if you get a third-party conservative candidate, phony conservative, fake, Republican in this America party of Elon Musk's, there are a lot of stupid Republicans who will vote for them. The libertarians will be lining up, followed by the never-Trumper Republicans. And boom, there you have it, just like Ross Perot. And, if you missed my breakdown of everything Ross Perot was about and did in that race, make sure you go back to the beginning of the stream and watch it, okay? Because I did an incredible breakdown that is, it's really frightening what he was involved in. Now, if you would like to support my program, become a Patreon supporter. If you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to commercial-free editions to all of my podcast episodes, okay, that are exclusive just to Patreon supporters. And Patreon supporters get access to a lot of exclusive things that I do, including vlogs and such that I post nowhere else except on my Patreon page. And my top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode of my podcast. And on the video version of the podcast, they get their names on the screen like it is now. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this video, okay? And the direct website address is patreon.com/RealBrianCraigShow. Patreon.com/RealBrianCraigShow. My top Patreon supporters, I want to thank you all. SFjr, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, David, Laura, and Rob. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for your support. Again, if you'd like to support the program, become a Patreon supporter. You're supporting all the content that I bring to you when you do that. If you're new to the program, make sure you subscribe. If you're already subscribed, do me the favor of liking the video and sharing on your socials if you don't mind, all right? My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.